Hi everyone, it's Charlie Webster here. Welcome along to My Sporting Mind, the podcast that's all about mindset and mental health in sport and in life as well. Season 2 is proudly supported by sportinglife.com, ahead of the rest with 160 years of sporting knowledge and integrity. Today, I'm really pleased to welcome one of England's greatest ever spin bowlers, Monty Panesar, to the podcast. Monty, it's an absolute pleasure to have you. And I absolutely love your company when we've had chats together, and I feel very privileged to say that I've even played cricket against you. Do you remember?
Yes, I do. Well, thank you for your help.
Welcome along.
Thank you so much. And
That's
um,
like my
uh,
claim to fame.
yes, it was at Lord's. I was bowling at you, and I was trying to get you out. You actually surprised me that you can actually hit the cricket ball quite well.
Yeah, I was like, I remember you saying to me, "You actually played cricket before?" But it was so funny. I really enjoyed that day. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I played cricket against Monty Panesar. He's bowled against me." But seriously though, how have you found this past year? Because I remember the last time we sat down and had a chat, we spoke about so many different things, and one of the things that stuck into my head was about how you used exercise to help with mental health, to help with like daily life. So how's everything been going for you?
Yeah, well, I'm actually, I'm studying a master's at St Mary's University in international sports journalism. So that exercises my mind a lot.
I can
Um,
imagine.
if you want to know exercise, you didn't ask me a specific question. The exercise of the mind or exercise of the body,
Very
but
good point.
yes.
So hang on then. Let's go back to, so how are you using exercise physically to exercise your mind to help you cope through the current climate? There you go. Is that a better
Yes, that's
question?
a great question. I do running. I think running helps me to when I do like interval hit running. That's the kind of stuff I really enjoy. Like like run for 1 minute. As far as I can with 30-second rest. Do that 10 times, 15 minutes of that. It's really good. Nice workout. And then a similar one is when I do for 2 minutes. Again, run for 2 minutes and then have a 1 minute rest. Do that 10 times, that's 30 minutes. But through the whole process, I find that I'm going through different emotions. I'm
Mm,
going through different sort of things that are on my mind, the goals, maybe the struggling, the conversation that I'm struggling to have with certain people, or some of the good stuff that I need to revisit. And that's what it does, when you go through running, go through the exercise, you're actually going through a process of maybe get rid of some emotion, enter some positive thoughts, trying to find some answers to some things in your life that are happening now. And it's that high intensity exercise. And I always check my heartbeat on the treadmill, and I try and get up to maybe 175, 170 at least. Then I know I've had a really good workout. So I like to, really sort of push myself and sort of keep pounding on that, treadmill, because high intensity exercise is so good for the body. It,
mm.
it really, like there's a few people out there say to me, "Oh, I want to look young. Maybe I should go and do some, get some Botox or this." I said, "Guys, just do hit running. You don't need any of that. That the oxygen flowing through the body will cleanse you, and you feel great afterwards."
I can totally relate to the thinking things through. When I'm running, I so often find myself having a conversation with myself in my own head. And sometimes I'm like play out scenarios, and it's almost like an amazing space to be able to do that without all the distraction that I think is current. And then so going back to your point that you made, how are you exercising the mind then? And why have you decided to do a master's? That's really interesting.
Yeah, well, I think I'm finding like the mental sort of the mind exercise through the course. Really, I'm learning so much about sports journalism. I'm writing a few articles, have to do a lot of reading, do some research and planning, and then putting it all together. And there's times where my mind just like, oh gosh, it's like going through 100 miles per hour, and I need that time to get away from it. So rest is so important for me, but also exercise, and diet as well. Diet, all of that kind of plays a part. So there's times where there's certain times of the day where I can do my reading and writing, and there's other times of the day where, I can do a bit more sort of digital journalism, go to areas like I went to Arsenal. I interact with the fans, the crowds, and I make a little, video. I can load up on Twitter, so that's something fun. So I can break up my sort of day but still cover the aspects of sports journalism.
So where do things stand in terms of cricket for you now then? Because I mean, I've done a few things with you and you come across brilliantly. Like, you're doing stuff digitally, socially, and interacting with people. And it's almost that you became a hero with England, maybe a slightly unlikely one, and everybody just loved you, and you have such incredible charm, and you've released a book, you've told the story around what was going on for you, which we'll get more in depth of. But where's cricket? What does cricket feel like for you right now as we sat here today?
Yeah, look, it's a great question, Charlie. You'll definitely understand a sportsman's mindset. So I play for Twickenham Cricket Club on a Saturday in Twickenham. So when I have a home match, I expect you to see you there, maybe with your bicycle, doing a 10, 20K, cycle, and you're just
All right.
sort of having a bit of a rest and watching me bowl, which will be great.
Or I can
Um,
actually bat against you.
well, you can do maybe during the warm-ups you can do, but then when it's a league match and it's a rival game, then I have to bring my A game on, because I want us to win the league this year. Um, so yeah, that's my competitive mindset. So it allows me to, again, I think what cricket does, that competitive juices, that I have, I'm on a Saturday, I'm allowed to, demonstrate that on a cricket field, compete with the batsman, game situations. It really kind of like ticks all the sort of boxes, what I used to do as a cricketer. And then again, it's that fan interaction, fan engagement. It's, where we play, it's actually on a public sort of, park, but there's always people walking around, and there's a lot of people sort of come and watch. And some who are cricket fans probably know me during my cricketing days. They'll just come and watch me bowl. But it's a nice crowd, and that's the thing, I know that I have to interact with my fans, give back to cricket. That's another, if it's in a way, by playing club cricket, it makes me feel like I'm giving back to cricket, because there could be a young Middlesex player. In fact, there was a young Middlesex player in our sort of team at Twickenham, and the next game he played for Middlesex this week. So his name was like Cullen, seam bowler. Um, so from that perspective, it's great, young players coming through the ranks, and I get to bowl to them, and they can improve their game and develop, and it just adds a bit more sort of competitiveness in the league, having a sort of ex-international player playing. And it's that other mindset, when you talked about the mind, I remember at Lords when Andrew Flintoff gave me the ball, he threw the ball at me, and he actually said to me while I was in India in 2006, he goes, "Monty, do you know you're a cult hero back home?" And I was like, well, I don't really know what you mean by that. But I understood when he threw the ball at me at Lords, and the whole crowd just erupted. And I was like, wow, this is the first time I'm experiencing this level of stardom. People, the whole spotlight is on me. And now I'm out of that scene, aren't I? I'm out of the test arena, I'm out of that. The fans, it's because of the fans where sportsmen generally are, where they are. If the fans keep, cheering for you, your popularity goes through the roof. And now when I sit back and I think, yeah, there was a period of time when Monty Mania did exist, and people used to wear face masks. Like I don't want you to turn up wearing a face mask at Twickenham Green, to watch me play. That would be a great. I think that'd be a great, brave, be really brave, Charlie, to do that. But in generally speaking, it's I feel like, wow, it's the people in this country that made what Monty is today, and I need to give back to cricket, and that's why I play club cricket. It gives me that sense of giving back and helping, young children with their coaching, or parents coming up to me, what can we do more with my, child, or just a general, people learn a lot visually. There's players who can watch and learn. So that's why I think club cricket's quite important for me.
And every time you mentioned cricket then, or you described yourself, you spoke in the past tense. So do you now not see yourself as a cricketer anymore?
Another great question, because I always believe that when people speak to me, if they can speak to me in this present moment in time. So I remember, with Gary Lineker, I had a chat with him, and I go, no one talks about your football career. Everyone talks about your present journalism. He was like, oh, Gary, you were great on Match of the Day, or you were great presenting there. It's like that means that's sign of success. That means that people are speaking to you in present time with what's happening now, rather than thinking, well, I'm not doing much now, but people remember me in 2009 about my Cardiff Test match, but not what does Monty Panesar look like in 2021? And that's why I want people to now speak to me with with what's happening now in my life, because then it feels like, I'm being successful. Either I need to be successful, or reach higher goals so people can relate to me in this moment in time. So yeah, it's interesting.
So on that then, what does Monty Panesar look like for 2021?
Well, he looks like being on Sky Sports News in the morning, and he's presenting and he's saying Pep Guardiola has signed a 5-year deal with Man City. And breaking news right now, Lionel Messi has signed with Man City. After the break, we've got Charlie to tell us more about her podcast.
No, I'm fine. I've been there, done that.
Well, I
That was
haven't.
very good. That was
Thank
very,
you.
very good. So really, is that where you see yourself?
Well, I think when I signed up to the course, I spoke to my parents. I go, look, I'm not really getting anywhere with this sports journalism. I thought during the World Cup and the book release, someone would have given me an opportunity. Maybe I don't know, one of the major media channels, Talk Sport or Radio 5 Live, or even Sky Sports. But nothing came about, and I thought, I look everyone who are involved. They're like they're like ex England captains, or they played over 100 test matches. I played 50, and then I've been out of the game for quite 2016 was the last time I played. So I've been out of the game for quite a long time. So they said to me, look, if you're serious, you should do a course, and then review, then see what doors open up for you. And then at St Mary, I think they had Emma Painter, who's actually at Sky Sports News, and so then I thought, yeah, this is what, once I finish the course, hopefully my outdoors and opportunities will open up in this area, in these areas as well. So that's what I'm hoping. I don't know. Maybe it's a bit ambitious, but who knows?
I really admire your tenacity, I suppose, and determination and strength, because I've almost seen you go through this change and career change, and we've spoken about it before. Do you think that sometimes the reason is because people see you as somebody that I don't know, had some problems, and do you think you are judged in terms of some of the things that happened during your England career?
Look, there's times, and my behaviours in the England team wasn't great. I remember Sri Lanka Test match. I was 12th man. I get so grumpy when I was 12th man, and I wasn't filling up the drinks. Put my headphones on, listening to music, and Andy Flower came down and then just nudged me. He goes, "Look, what you're doing. You got to help the team out." So I was like not behaving. There's times where I would be like, let's say, the bad egg in the dressing room. And then that news kind of starts spreading. It's the same thing when I loved playing cricket. News spreads. Everyone's like, wow, this, breath of fresh air in the England team. Monty Panesar's brilliant. He loves cricket. Then the other way went when I fell out of love with cricket, and that kind of spread. And people thought, oh, he's gone off the rails. What's going on with him? And then I think Mike Atherton did a really good piece on me. And then that's how I had to open up in the media about, obviously there's certain struggles, which I was denying, even to the point, to get me to do the interview. The people around me was like, look, you have to do it. You can't keep denying this. And so yes, I start talking about it, and then it's just that my natural drive really of how I got to the England team is the natural drive in sports journalism. I think if I can't achieve something, then it makes me even more determined to chase that goal rather than completely turn off and do something else. It's so there's so many different skill sets I learn from this sports journalism that I'm always just keep working at it, because it's that dream for me, isn't it? It's like, well, my goal is to be on Sky Sports News presenting, like the people who present right now, and I'm chasing that, and that helps me to occupy my time, occupy my goals. like it stops being, you're busy, your stuff, it's because I'm chasing that dream. So that's one way of like keeping yourself busy.
Mm. It's interesting that you said, you were seen as a bad egg in the change rooms, and you mentioned doing interviews, and there's things very well versed out there. You can Google your name and it talks so much about things like alcohol and you know what happened with your behavior, but what often isn't talked about enough is why you were behaving like that. Because that's the first time I've heard you describe, well, oh, I was a bad egg, but were you a bad egg, or were you struggling? And when did you start to realize that? You said, were you falling out with cricket, or just was that the first time you started to struggle? When did you start to feel those things?
I think it wasn't. It's the results in front of you. It's like when you're not getting selected to play, when you don't get a ball, when they tell you, oh, maybe take a week off and then come back. You kind of think that, why are people sort of shutting the door and telling me like to come back, and maybe just you're a bit angry at the moment, just sort of come back and then join the team. This was when I was at Essex, and Paul Grayson was brilliant at managing that. But I think it kind of like, the question, is then, is Monty consistent now? What's his behavior like now? Where is he sitting right now? And that takes time. So, in 2019, I used to go to World Cup games. I went to test matches. And that's all it was. It was my way of going to the people that I knew in the media stand, in the media centres, ex-England captain, like the likes of, Geoffrey Boycott, Michael Vaughan, Nasser Hussain, Mike Atherton, David Gower. They were all there. I'll just go and just to show my face. But they would just tell them that I'm doing okay. But then once you lose that trust, or once you misbehave, or once you're coming through, let's say, a mental health issue, they want to see it over a long period of time. Is this consistent behavior where he's mentally actually okay and he's happy and everything is great? And that's what I did. And even my parents used to say that. I said, you've got to put in the hard work now. You've got to win back the cricketing community by showing them that you're good, you behave well, you're consistent, there's nothing wrong with you. And we know there's nothing wrong with you, but you got to go out and show it to the world. And that's what I did. That was my goal.
But you had you had depression, you had a mental health problem, and there's nothing wrong with that. So do you think it would have been treated differently if it was a physical problem? And do you think that do you think you can have a health problem and still be in sport?
You can do, if you know how to manage it. And if you've got coaches around you or people around you, how to manage that. It's like, you could have a mental health, let's say, issue, and you're playing for your country, and you can make a wrong decision at the wrong time, and it's not good enough. I'm sorry, it is not good enough to say, oh, actually, I don't know, I just couldn't think straight, or anxiety kicked in, or I felt really, mood wasn't great. It cost us the game. We lost, and there's money involved in big games. So when you want to enter the boxing arena or the competitive environment, you've got to be switched on. You can't have, if you've got these like little issues, you've got to have a way of dealing with them, but you've got to show that under pressure, you are able to make key decisions, even when you're carrying a mental health issue, because that's the demand of international sport, and you have to do that.
But do you think that that was probably part of the problem then, because you were suffering from a mental health problem, and you were probably masking it, but also masking it from yourself? So a lot of the time, the way you were was to try and deal with things because of the fact that you were almost editing who you are.
Yeah, absolutely. I was probably masking it in a way of go to the gym more, pump more weights. I love going to the gym, get that feeling of, adrenaline and endorphins kicking in. And I think everything's fine. And then like, I knew, like, then on the field, when a catch get dropped, or umpire not give me a decision, I'll get a bit more uptight, a bit more angry. And that's the bit, where you're kind of like, that people are watching, or the coach is thinking, well, when he was in his good days, he wouldn't, he'll be okay about it. He'll come back, and he'll try and recreate the same chance. But why is he getting angry, over a drop catch or an umpire decision? Never used to behave like that. And they're the sort of signs They start thinking that he's probably frustrated or he's not maybe happy within himself. And that's the most important thing. Most important thing I realized is the happiness within yourself. If you are happy within yourself, everyone else is going to feel that. You
Mm.
don't have to see, I don't have to go and tell people what is my mood like today, or how do I feel. I will enter a room and people will resonate off my energy because they know I'm happy. They feel happy around me. And everyone knows that actually Monty's in a great space now. So they can see it. It's like a perfume. They can smell the perfume or the warmth, and you're in a great place.
So how did you get to that place? For anybody that relates to some of the things you were going through and your thought pattern and paranoia and depression, how did you get to that place? And actually, before I ask you that, what were your thought patterns at that time? Because I think it's really interesting for people to hear that, because they might feel the same things or be telling themselves those things too.
Look, I think one thing I realized, I'm from a family of, we believe in faith, believe in my religion and thing. And faith was a big part of me getting to where I am today. And I realized that even when I'm not in a great place, even family and friends, let alone the cricket community, they don't want to be around me. They're like, God, he's irritating us because his energy and his frequency is quite angry and it's making us angry. And people want to be around you when you're in a happy place as well. So you have to do things, have to do things to get yourself in a place that you're happy within you. So for me, my relationship, let's say within myself, self-care, relationship with, let's say, existence, positive energy, spirituality, all of that kind of stuff. That's the most important relationship with me, first and foremost. If that is in a good place for me, I'm grateful for things around me. I affirmations, like if I'm saying something to myself and I say, look, oh, I'm so rubbish at this, who is the first person that hears it? It's me, because it flows the mouth to the ear. Like, ears are like the closest to me. Now if the second person sitting next to me, it will go to them next. So if I say positive affirmations to myself, if I'm grateful, being humble, empathetic, these are all the things that get you into a happy place. So what am I doing for others? I don't feel in a great place. What am I doing for charity stuff? So then I sometimes just message, like, I'm ambassador for Royal Marston's muscular dystrophy, show racism red card. I'll just message them. I say, look, can I do something for you guys? And they say, oh, Monty, great. Yeah, what would you like to do? I just want to post a video out, or I want to do a charity run. And they go, yeah, go on then, do this, go and do that. And that takes me away from, let's say, okay, from myself, because
Mm.
I'm giving to others, right? And it's the example of my coach, who, touch wood, is not, well, he's not here with us anymore. He unfortunately passed away. Um, and he said, look at the sun. The sun always gives light, but it doesn't take anything from anyone. It's always giving. So you got to have that mindset, even if you want to become the greatest sportsman in the world. The greatest people, the greatest sportsmen, they give. They have this mentality of giving. You have to just give, and it all will fall into place. And by giving, actually, as human beings, we feel a lot more calmer within ourselves,
Mm.
and a lot more happier when we're helping others without thinking of business, transaction. And I think that is a lot to do with being in a happy place as well.
Is that what's helped you? And you said, about saying you're rubbish. And I think it's so powerful what you said, because I think people have a very strong critical voice, and then they start to listen to it, and it can become a cycle where you lose self-confidence. It can cause depression. And how we speak to ourselves is really important to listen to. Is that what you were saying to yourself? And what was the point where because it's really interesting you talk about that, but what was the point when things shifted for you, when you realized that things needed to move, and you were when did you recognize that you were saying those things to yourself?
It's really interesting you say that. I think my parents have been so influential. They're like, even my mom would always say to me, she goes, like, you're giving affirmations to yourself, which are actually, it's not gonna help you. You've got to talk positively about yourself, or you've got to do things which are, positive for yourself. So these kind of things are so important. I think relationships with your parents are also important, because it's a biological thing, that 50% you carry of your mom, 50% of your dad, just a biological energy thing that they seem to just, they'll say something that will probably be helpful. Then maybe, you don't have to speak so much, and you get to the solution quicker. So that's been a huge part of my life. My both my parents, that they've been very, helpful, and it was them really who said to me, like, go and do the course. I never thought to myself to do a master's. They kind of pushed me, to do that. And even today, if I'm struggling, let's say, with learning something, or they'll ask me, how's your, what are you up to, how's your new set of skills that you're learning. I was like, I'm really struggling with this new book. I can't understand it. And they go, look, you just got to go through it, and they'll say, sometimes they'll reaffirm the stuff they say to me. They go like, go through the pain barrier like you used to. And then that's where the physical training is really helpful for me. When I do boxing, sparring, or even yoga stretches, running, I'm going through that pain barrier. I'm like, this pain is good for me because it's going to help release and free me up. And that's what it does. Afterwards, you feel a lot better. And I just don't think people who do go through, difficult times, they are willing to go through the pain, or the pain threshold, which sometimes maybe sports people have that naturally because it's so competitive.
That's a really interesting point.